Good morning, this is Joe Jacobson with Step-by-Step Blog Building, and we're still on part one, or step one, of setting up your blog. We're just about done though. We're here at the tail end. The last two videos, part one and part two, are going to be about configuring the plugins. The plugins that you loaded in the last video from the list that is provided there on the website, in the membership site. It's a PDF file. It lists all the plugins, and hopefully you loaded the ones that are important for you, the critical ones. So what we're going to do here is in part one, basically work on those simpler ones, the critical ones, and then actually there's some that are important or critical that are multi-step in order to get them configured. So we're going to cover those and a few of those in part two, just because they're more complicated. Okay, but most of the plugins are real simple, just to load up, a little bit of configuration, and you're good to go. So again, we'll log into the WordPress dashboard. Step two is be sure and check out the PDF document. And then what we're going to do is, on step three here, just a reminder, is you can download them to your computer or directly from the WordPress dashboard. That's what we've been demonstrating here in the video so far. It's kind of the easier way to do it. Step four, we're going to do the critical ones. And then step five, we'll talk a little bit about how important it is to keep them updated. Okay, in part two, again, that video, we'll see if we can wrap it up in two parts. Maybe it'll go into a third one, we'll see, because they're a little bit complicated. So let's jump over to the site, to the internet, and get into the dashboard. Okay, I'm already logged into the dashboard, and go ahead if you want to follow step by step along with this, with what we mentioned in the previous video about how you can do that with having two screens on your monitor and do it in live real time as you're watching this one. Go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can always come back and watch this video again if you need to review it. So what we're going to do then is, now this is a demo site again. It has a bunch of plugins already loaded. Let's go take a look here and see how many we have loaded already. Quite a few, and some of them are sort of experimental. Again, this is a demo site, but a whole bunch of them. If you look over here, we got 34 items. That means 34 plugins, and there's actually on two pages of plugins. So this first one here, this is one of the ones I would call critical. It's a Kismet, and you can see right over here, you can read in the description, it's a way to protect your blog from spam, from commenting spam, from trackback spam. And so it's a real important one to have, otherwise you might start getting dozens or hundreds of spam comments in there to deal with in your dashboard. So this is the one, again, that takes a few steps. So we're going to skip this one for now, because you have to go visit their website right here and get the key. So we'll do that one a little bit later and then come back to your site here to finish it. But here's one we can do right now. It's not that difficult. All-in-one SEO pack. It's on the list, and it is a actually very important one. So let's take a look at that one. And basically, let me scroll through here first. BuddyPress, we're not going to do that one. That's sort of a specialty one. This one here, CBNet, we'll do that one. The secure login, we'll do that. Custom contact forms, well, actually there should be another contact form. We'll do that one. And then let me just skip through the ones that we will do. Exclude pages, I'll talk about why you want that one. Facebook like button, well, actually we covered that briefly in a previous video, but that's one that's very simple to do. Google Analytics for WordPress. This is one that we will probably do in part two, again, because it involves 2 or 3 steps in the process just to get it activated. You got to set up an account and so forth with Google, and you may not have that already. We'll cover the Google sitemaps. That one's simple to do. The login lockdown and this quick page redirect, that's a simple one. Okay, and this is just page one. So let's go ahead over here to scroll up here to the settings. Now, first, before I do that, let me make these all visible. Well, I think you can see them all right here. Sometimes when you upload a plugin, it will put it in various places in your sidebar menu here. Sometimes it puts it right inside of this plugin area, and you can see here, yep, there's the feed burner. That's a plugin. Akismet's a plugin. Sometimes it'll put it even in this tool area. Let me see if there's any in there. Yep, see there's one kind of hiding in there, and that's this one here, Exploit Scanner. That checks for spam as well. Okay, and hackers on your site and your file system. Settings, that's where most of them end up, but also down here, independent of any of these other boxes, they'll put it down here. Custom contact forms, that's a plugin. Headers is a plugin. Shareaholic is a plugin. TweetMe is a plugin. All these, database and security, these are all plugins just sort of put down here independently. But a lot of times, more than half the time, they're placed right in here under settings. So let me click on that. Remember from the last video, we were also in this area and we did the general settings, the basic settings. Okay, but right below that, below the permalinks, starts the plugins. And this is where you want to come to configure each one of them, and you need to. You absolutely have to configure, at least check. Some of them don't need much, but this one right here, let's click on it, all-in-one SEO. Now this one is real important, and it'll give you, see by the way, you notice these little alert areas, messages up here, and usually they're in red, and before you configure this all-in-one, it will have a message up here too. Some of them will and say, hey, you must go in here and configure this before it's active. Just gives you that warning, and that's good because this is real important. You can see here there's no message. That means that I have already done this one, but we can still go through here and take a look. Okay, a lot of times they have some promotional things here. Remember, these are developed mostly as open source by developers, and so they do it for free. They provide it to the rest of the world for free, so it's always nice to support those guys out there and make a little donation to their efforts because we're getting to use it for free. Okay, so basically get on down here to the actual settings, and the first thing you'll need to do is put a little check here, or the dot, click on this in the enabled area. It will normally show disabled when you first get started, so be sure there's a little circle there inside a little dot in the enabled radio button. And then this is the part that's real critical, is the home, title, the description, and the keywords. Because when your site is indexed by the search engines, and when it posts your results there in the search that people are doing to find you, it'll grab this right here, this title, the description, and based on the keywords you provide. And so if you ever have noticed that when you do a search, it comes back, 100,000 results or 1,000,000 results, whatever, just shows the title and the description, and of course your URL address. So this part is really important. And I haven't really filled this out, so here is where you put in, basically it's probably going to be the title of your website. If your website name has been SEO'd, as we described in one of the very early videos here, how important that is. But let's just say that my site, and this is just a demo site, let's just say I had a site based on, what can I think of here? Nutrition for kids. Let's say I had nutritionforkids.com. That's what I would put in there, because that's the URL. That's important. These are important keywords, and so that would be the title. You could take that and copy it and go ahead and put it right in here. Description, put it in as your keyword, and you could put in some additional keyword phrases. If you did, you just put a comma here, like it says, comma separated. You put a comma, and then you'd put in an additional keyword right there. I usually don't do too much of that because now you could do this for the whole website, but when I'm writing an individual page or post, I usually like to focus all the effort, laser focus on one keyword phrase for that one post. But you could go ahead and put in some other keywords here. And then in here, in the home description, go ahead and, again, include that keyword phrase inside of your description. So, but you do need to write an actual description, like nutrition for kids is your one-stop website for nutritional facts, etc., etc., etc. So go ahead and write in at least a nice one or two sentences right in here, but be sure and use right here this keyword phrase right in the description, and preferably right up front early in the description as it is written here. Okay, and make this a actual complete, readable, and attractive sentence, because this is what people will see in the search results, and this is what needs to motivate them to click on your site to visit you. Okay, so get that in there. The rest of this configuration is filled in for you pretty much. You don't need to worry too much more about this, changing any of this, especially in the beginning. And then go ahead and click on Update Options, and that will, I'll just pass on that for now, but that's what you would do, and you're done. Okay, that's what we're talking about here by configuring each plugin. Now you have the list to work with. Most of them are real easy, and there's going to be 20 or 30 of them maybe to work with in there on that PDF file of plugins. But let's just go down here and look again at some of these, and I think that'll give you enough idea. I'm not going to do all 30 of them in this video. The next one here is a ping optimizer. I'll go ahead and click on that. This one here doesn't have too much to do for you to do. You can see here, basically this is it right here. Now, what you will have in yours is, which I explained, I believe, in the last video, is just this one service right here, this one site. And I'm going to also provide, maybe right alongside this other PDF file, will be another file where will be this complete list here of the services that you can also ping. And then you want to be sure these are in here. If not, if you didn't put them in the previous video, then you can go ahead and download that PDF, get the list, copy and paste them right in here, right where these are right there, and then this should be checked by default, enable pinging. Okay, and then go ahead and save settings. That's all there is to this one. What this one does for you in a nutshell here is that as you are writing new posts and creating drafts and then editing things, what it does automatically is it goes out and it pings. In other words, it notifies these services here that you have new content. But you don't want to be pinging these services multiple times, for one site or one post, because that can actually get you banned. So you can see down here that it is the log of all. There's 329 times that I've made some edits, even on this demo site. And so if it were going out there and pinging every single time, then it'd probably get into trouble and might get banned from some of those sites. But you can see right here it says not pinging. Okay, so that's what this is about. It's a ping optimizer, so that it will only ping when you have a new post, new content. Okay, so that's a good one, actually a pretty critical one. You can see a whole bunch of them here. That's a pretty critical one to have there. Okay, so you save the settings on that. Let's go take a look at a few more. We covered the Facebook like button in the last video, so I'll skip that one. I'll skip this featured content gallery. That's a gallery of photos, a little bit more complicated, and you may not even ever need it. The Google Analytics we're going to do in a separate video, maybe all by itself or maybe in part 2, because it is more complicated. The login lockdown, yeah, let's take a quick look at that, because this is one of the easy ones. It already has some default entries in here, Basically what this one says is when somebody is maybe trying to hack into your login screen into WordPress and guessing, let's say they're trying to guess your password, it will allow them to guess 3 times, or it'll allow you to guess 3 times, and if you don't get the right password after 3 times, it'll lock you out. That's what it is, login lockdown. It locks it down, and it locks it down for, in this case, 60 minutes, and that's going to help thwart some of the hackers trying to get into your login. You can change these, as you can see here, these restriction times. Okay? If you want to change it, be sure and update it right there. Okay, also tells you here how many have been locked out. So I haven't had anybody locked out. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here. Quick redirects, not a big deal. We'll cover that another time. Firewall, another kind of important one, and not a bad idea to have a little extra protection again. There's spammers everywhere, so you want to keep your WordPress files protected as well. This is all by default here, filled in. So really not much to do here on this. Just get it loaded up and activate it, and you're good to go pretty much on this. Okay, this one here is a cache, this WP cache. Let's see if there's anything you need to do on that. Yeah, the only thing you need to do on this one is just enable it, and that's often the case with many plugins. The simple ones is all you have to do is activate it. So before I had this one enabled, it probably had this button right here probably said enable it. Okay, so now you can disable it. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Save the, let's see, save the strings, save the files. So that's actually, you don't even have to click on any of these once you enable it. That's about all there is to do on that one. Okay, here's another one. This is the WP Touch. Now that's a little bit different actually than one of the plugins I'm going to recommend, but same idea. It's for mobile devices so that your WordPress site will show up properly. Everyone's using smartphones these days, and so you want to be sure that your site shows up properly. And this one basically is already optimized for you, configured. You can come in here and do some things later if you get more sophisticated in your understanding of how this works. You got categories you can exclude and tag and so forth, but otherwise it's ready to go right out of the box, so to speak. Okay, but there are a lot of other options you can work with here, a little bit beyond the scope of this video right now. Secure WP, that's another security type plugin. Okay, let's see what else we can cover here. Contact forms, headers, these are pretty detailed ones you may never even use. Okay, now here's one here. Again, we'll take a quick look at this, and that'll probably be about all we need to look at for now, because you get the gist of it, how to come in here and take a look at these configurations. This one here is to create a sitemap, which is also one of the critical ones, and it's an XLM sitemap generator. Okie dokie. What it does again is it creates it for you automatically and periodically. You can see right here the sitemap was last built, just in my case here a few days ago, so it's already built for you. Okay, and Google was successfully notified about the changes. So again, it's a very good way to have your site indexed with a sitemap. Okay, and also Bing was notified and Ask.com was notified. So really there's not much in here to do unless you get more sophisticated later and you want to change some of these advanced options, but really you don't even need to worry about it right away. If you do want to take a look at your sitemap, you can go look at it right here. This is the URL that shows you that Google actually sees. Okay? You can also determine what you want on that sitemap. By default, it pretty much includes everything you need on there. But you can add some of these other items in. You can determine the frequency of the creation of that sitemap and the priorities. If you want to change any of these from the default settings, go ahead and click on Update Options. Okay, so I think you get the feel for how to configure plugins. And so basically load them all up in there, the ones that you feel you need and that are recommended from that list, and then go ahead and work through the simple ones first. And in the next video we'll talk about some of these more complicated ones that actually require a few different steps to get them active. Okay, so that's it for now. This is Joe Jacobson with Step-by-Step Blog Building. See you in part 2.